When you go to hug a woman, never do this. Psychology tricks. People will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Maya Angelou. There's a subtle mistake, so small most men never notice it, but it quietly sends the wrong signal the moment you hug a woman. And the truth is simple. In that brief moment, she's not analyzing you, she's feeling you. Many men believe attraction is built through words, humor, or status. That's only half the story. Physical presence, especially something as simple as a hug, speaks directly to her emotions, faster than logic ever can. Very few men truly understand this. A hug is not just a greeting, it's a message. It tells her who you are without saying a word. It reveals your confidence, your awareness, your emotional control. Or it exposes hesitation, uncertainty, and lack of presence. And here's the part most people never talk about. Within just a few seconds, her body has already made a quiet decision about you. Not consciously, but deeply, instinctively. Now listen carefully. This isn't about blaming yourself if you've done it wrong before. No one really teaches this. Society gives men a script: be polite, be nice, be respectful, but skips over the part that actually creates emotional impact. So don't overthink the past. What matters is awareness now. There's a simple principle at play here. A woman feels first, then thinks later. While you're still deciding how to act, her body has already registered how she feels standing close to you. That's biology. That's instinct. And a hug? It cuts through all conversation. It bypasses logic and goes straight to that emotional core. In just a few seconds of contact, without words, her mind quietly asks, "Do I feel safe here? Does this man have presence? Does he know himself?" And here's the reality most men overlook. You can say all the right things, you can be successful, even charming, but if that moment of connection feels off, her body will override everything else. So don't treat a hug like a formality. Treat it like a statement. Because in that one small moment, you are either remembered or forgotten. Error number one, the weak hug. Error number one, the weak hug. You've seen it. You've probably done it, maybe without even realizing it. The kind of hug where your arms barely make contact, your body stays distant, and there's almost no pressure, like you're trying not to disturb the air between you. Sometimes it's even just one arm, that polite, sideways, courtesy hug that feels more like a formality than a real moment of connection. Now listen carefully. Don't dismiss this as something small. Don't assume it doesn't matter. Because in the silent language of human interaction, this tiny detail speaks volumes. It speaks before you say a single word. It speaks directly to her emotions, not her logic. And that is where everything begins. You must understand this. Attraction is not built on what you say. It is built on what she feels. That is the core of female psychology. That is the foundation of all real connection. And when you give a weak hug, what she feels is distance. She feels hesitation. She feels uncertainty. Not because she analyzes it step by step, but because her subconscious picks it up instantly. That's how powerful nonverbal communication is. That's why the smallest physical cues can shape how to fall in love far more than long conversations ever could. Think about it. When your arms barely touch her, when your body leans away instead of in, when your energy feels restrained or unsure, what message are you sending? You're telling her, without words, "I'm not fully here." You're telling her, "I'm unsure of this moment." And most importantly, you're telling her, "I'm unsure of myself." Now here's the truth. She may not consciously say, "This man lacks confidence." She may not even be able to explain why something feels off. But she will feel it. And that feeling will stay with her long after the hug is over. Don't underestimate that. Don't think you can fix it later with better words or clever lines. Because first impressions are emotional imprints. And once that imprint is made, it's hard to rewrite. This is where most men go wrong. They focus on what to say, what to text, what to plan. But they ignore the raw, immediate signals their body is sending. And in female psychology, those signals are everything. Be honest with yourself. Why do men give weak hugs? It's rarely about politeness. It's rarely about respect. Most of the time, it comes from hesitation. from overthinking, from that quiet voice in your head saying, don't be too much, don't make it awkward, don't risk it. But here's the paradox: you try to avoid discomfort, and you create it anyway. You try to be safe, and you become forgettable. You try to be careful, and you lose the very thing that creates attraction: presence. That is the word you need to remember: presence. A real hug is not about strength. It's not about squeezing harder. It's about being fully there in the moment. When you hug a woman, your body should say, I'm here. I'm grounded. I'm comfortable. Not forced. Not exaggerated. Just natural, calm certainty. That is what creates emotional safety. That is what draws her in. That is what makes her feel something she can't quite explain, but doesn't want to ignore. And this is where many so-called psychology tricks fail men. They turn connection into a checklist. They make you think attraction is a formula you can memorize. But real psychology tricks, the ones that actually work, are about understanding human emotion at a deeper level. They're about aligning your actions with your inner state. Because if your body says one thing and your energy says another, she will always trust what she feels over what she sees. Let's go deeper. A weak hug doesn't just signal hesitation. It also creates a lack of emotional impact. It's forgettable. It blends into every other interaction she has that day. There's no imprint, no spark, no moment that stands out. And in a world where she meets many people, where attention is everywhere, being forgettable is the fastest way to disappear from her mind. Now, don't misunderstand this. This is not about becoming intense or overwhelming. Don't swing to the other extreme. Don't force a hug that feels unnatural or too strong. That's not confidence, that's compensation. And she will feel that too. The goal is balance. Calm, grounded, genuine presence. A hug that feels real, not rehearsed. A moment that feels natural, not calculated. This is where understanding how to fall in love truly begins, not with grand gestures, not with perfect words, but with small, authentic moments that carry emotional weight. A hug is one of those moments. It's simple, but it's powerful. It's brief, but it can leave a lasting impression. And when done right, it creates a sense of comfort and connection that words alone cannot achieve. So, what should you do instead? First, stop overthinking. Don't approach a hug like it's a test you need to pass. Approach it like a natural extension of the moment. If the energy is there, step into it. Use both arms. Bring your body close, not in a forced way, but in a way that feels relaxed and present. Apply just enough pressure to feel real, to feel connected. Not too light, not too strong. Just enough to say, this moment matters. Second, be intentional. Not rigid, not scripted. Intentional. That means you're aware of what you're doing, but you're not trapped in your head. You're present. You're engaged. You're feeling the moment as it happens. And that presence will come through in your body language more than anything else. Third, let go of fear. Fear of being judged. Fear of doing it wrong. Fear of being too much. Because here's the truth: what creates attraction is not perfection. It's authenticity. It's emotional clarity. It's the sense that you are comfortable in your own skin. And that comfort is what allows her to relax around you. This is the deeper layer of female psychology that most men never fully grasp. Women are highly attuned to emotional signals. They pick up on subtle cues that men often overlook. The way you stand, the way you move, the way you touch. These are not small details. They are the foundation of how she experiences you. And this is why the weak hug is such a critical mistake. It's not just about the hug itself. It's about what it represents. It represents hesitation. It represents doubt. It represents a lack of presence. And those are the exact qualities that quietly erode attraction before it even has a chance to grow. Now here's something important. You don't fix this by trying to act confident. You fix it by becoming more comfortable with yourself, by understanding that you don't need to impress her. You don't need to perform. You just need to be present. When you remove the pressure to be perfect, your natural confidence starts to emerge. And that confidence will show up in the simplest things, including how you hug. This is where real psychology tricks come into play. Not manipulation, not tactics, but awareness. Awareness of how your actions affect her emotions. Awareness of how small moments create big impressions. Awareness of how to align your behavior with the kind of man you want to be. Because at the end of the day, attraction is not about tricks. It's about consistency. It's about showing up in a way that feels grounded, calm, and real. It's about creating moments that feel effortless, even though they carry deep emotional impact. So the next time you go to hug a woman, remember this. Don't hold back. Don't retreat. Don't send mixed signals. Be there, fully, calmly, naturally. Let the hug reflect your presence, not your hesitation. Let it communicate comfort, not uncertainty. And understand this final truth: learning how to fall in love is not about chasing feelings. It's about creating the conditions where those feelings can grow. It's about becoming the kind of man whose presence feels good, whose energy feels steady, whose actions feel genuine. When you master that, everything changes. The small moments become powerful, the simple gestures become meaningful, and the connections you create become deeper, stronger, and far more lasting than anything built on surface level effort. So don't ignore the weak hug. Don't brush it off as unimportant. Because in the quiet language of attraction, it says more than you think. And when you learn to change it, not by force, but by understanding, you step into a completely different level of connection, one that most men never reach, but every woman can feel. Error number two: the aggressive hug. There's a quiet truth about human connection that most men overlook, and it shows up in something as simple as a hug. You might think a hug is just a hug. It's not. It's a message. It's a signal. It's a moment where your presence either feels safe or feels overwhelming. And error number two, the aggressive hug, is where many men unknowingly cross that invisible line. Not because they intend to do harm, but because they misunderstand what real masculine energy actually is. They confuse intensity with pressure. They confuse confidence with control. But listen carefully. Don't confuse force with presence. Don't confuse closeness with possession. That is where attraction quietly dies. The aggressive hug is the complete opposite of the distant, lifeless one, but it is just as damaging. In fact, in many cases, it's worse. Because instead of signaling hesitation, it signals a lack of awareness. And awareness, that is the foundation of a high value man. Think about it. When you squeeze too hard, when you hold on just a little too long, when your hands start moving in ways that don't match the moment, you are no longer connecting. You are imposing. And a woman feels that instantly, not logically, but emotionally. Her body reacts before her mind even forms the thought. Her shoulders tighten. Her breathing shifts. Her energy pulls back. You may not see it, but she feels it. And that feeling becomes the memory she associates with you. Now here's where it gets deeper. Many men believe that being physically assertive shows masculine energy. They think if I hug her firmly, she'll feel my strength. She'll feel my confidence. But that's a misunderstanding. True masculine energy is not about how much force you use. It's about how much control you have. It's about knowing exactly how much is enough and stopping there. Be measured. Be aware. Be in control of yourself. That is what creates attraction. Because a high-value man does not need to prove his presence. His presence is already felt. Let's break this down further. When a hug becomes aggressive, three things happen in her mind, almost instantly. First, she feels discomfort. Not always in a dramatic way. Sometimes it's subtle. A slight tension. A quiet "this feels off." And that's all it takes. Attraction doesn't disappear with a loud crash. It fades in silence. Second, she senses a lack of social awareness. And this is critical, because awareness is attractive. It shows intelligence. It shows emotional control. When that's missing, it raises a silent question. Does he understand the situation he's in? And third, and this is the one that matters most, she questions your respect for boundaries. And the moment that question appears, everything changes. Because attraction cannot exist where safety is uncertain. Let that sink in. You can be well dressed. You can say all the right words. You can even make her laugh. But if in one moment she feels like her boundaries are not fully respected, her mind will shift into protection mode. not connection mode. And once that switch happens, it is incredibly difficult to reverse. Don't put yourself in that position. Don't create doubt where there could have been trust. Now, let's talk about the emotional layer of this. A hug is not just physical contact, it is emotional communication. It says, I see you. It says, I'm comfortable with you. It says, you're safe with me. But when that hug becomes too intense, too prolonged, or too invasive, the message changes. It starts to say, I'm taking more than I'm giving. And that imbalance, it breaks the connection. A woman doesn't want to feel handled. She wants to feel understood. That is the difference. That is what separates a man who simply interacts from a man who truly attracts women. And here's the part most men never hear. Subtlety is power. Not loudness, not force. Subtlety. The ability to express interest without overwhelming. The ability to create closeness without pressure. That is what defines masculine energy at its highest level. It's calm. It's grounded. It's intentional. When you hug her, your goal is not to impress her with strength. Your goal is to make her feel at ease. Because when a woman feels at ease around you, she opens up. And when she opens up, connection grows naturally. No force required. Think of it like this. Imagine walking into a quiet, peaceful room. Soft lighting, calm atmosphere. You immediately relax. Now imagine walking into a space where everything is loud, intense, overwhelming. Your body reacts differently, doesn't it? That's exactly how your physical presence feels to her. Your hug either says, you can relax here, or you need to protect yourself here. And that choice is entirely in your control. So, what should you do instead? First, understand timing. A hug is not just about how, it's about when. If the moment is light, casual, friendly, your hug should reflect that. Don't escalate beyond the energy that already exists. Match the moment. Don't overpower it. Second, understand pressure. A good hug is firm enough to feel real, but gentle enough to feel safe. Not crushing, not lingering, just present, just enough. Third, understand duration. This is where many men go wrong. They hold on too long, thinking it creates intimacy. It doesn't. It creates awkwardness. A high-volume man knows when to let go. And that timing, it speaks volumes. And then there's hand placement. This is critical, because this is where intention becomes visible. Keep it appropriate to the context. Early interactions? Keep it respectful. Neutral. Don't explore. Don't test boundaries through touch. That's not confidence. That's uncertainty disguised as boldness. Real confidence doesn't need to test. It waits. It reads. It responds. And when the moment naturally evolves, then and only then does it deepen. Let's be honest for a moment. Many men act aggressively in a hug because they are trying to secure something. Attention, attraction, validation. But here's the paradox. The more you try to take it, the faster it disappears. Attraction is not something you grab. It's something you allow to grow. And growth requires space. That's why respecting boundaries is not a limitation, it's a strategy. It shows that you're in control of yourself. And self-control, that is one of the most attractive traits a man can have. There's a quote that captures this perfectly. Power is not shown in what you take, but in what you can hold back. Remember that. Because in moments like a hug, what you choose not to do matters just as much as what you do. Don't overreach. Don't overdo. Be precise. Be intentional. That is how you attract women without saying a word. Now, imagine two scenarios. In the first, a man hugs a woman too tightly, holds her too long, and doesn't read her reaction. She steps away slightly uncomfortable, even if she smiles politely. In the second, a man approaches calmly, embraces her with just enough warmth, and releases at the perfect moment. She feels seen. She feels respected. She feels good. Which man stays in her mind? Not the one who tried harder, the one who understood better. That is the difference. And that difference defines whether you are remembered or forgotten. This is why becoming a high-value man is not about learning tricks. It's about mastering awareness. It's about understanding that every action, no matter how small, communicates something deeper. Your tone, Your posture, your timing, your touch. It all speaks. And when it speaks with clarity, with calmness, with respect, that's when attraction becomes natural, effortless, real. So the next time you go in for a hug, pause for a second. Read the moment. Feel the energy. Ask yourself, am I adding comfort or creating pressure? Because that one question can change everything. And once you start thinking this way, you'll notice something shift. Your interactions become smoother. Your presence becomes more grounded. And women begin to respond differently, not because you're trying harder, but because you're understanding deeper. At the end of the day, masculine energy is not about intensity. It's about stability. It's about being the kind of man who makes others feel safe without needing to say it. And a hug, simple, brief, often overlooked, is one of the clearest ways to express that. So don't rush it. Don't overpower it. Be calm. Be aware. Be in control. That is how a high value man moves. That is how he connects. And that is how he naturally attracts women, without force, without pressure, and without ever crossing the line that should never be crossed. And if this hit you, don't ignore it, own it. Drop a comment right now. I respect her space, and that's my power. Like the video, subscribe for more sharp, real world insight, and remember this: attraction grows in respect, but disappears the moment boundaries are crossed. Error number 3, the ghost hug. Error number 3, the ghost hug, and this one is silent, subtle, and far more damaging than most men will ever admit, because it doesn't look wrong on the outside, but it feels completely wrong on the inside. It's the hug where your body shows up, but your attention doesn't, where your arms are around her, but your mind is scanning the room, thinking about work, checking who's watching, or preparing your next move. And in that moment, you may believe you're doing something simple, something polite, something expected, but what you are actually communicating is distance, disconnection, and a lack of grounded presence. And here's the truth you must accept: women don't respond to the mechanics of a hug, they respond to the energy behind it. They feel what is unspoken, they sense what is real. And as the old saying goes, wherever you are, be there totally. A principle echoed through old Stoic wisdom that teaches us that presence is power, that attention is respect, and that divided focus is a form of silent rejection. When you give a ghost hug, you are physically close, but emotionally unavailable, and that contradiction creates discomfort, not attraction. Because human connection is not built on touch alone, it is built on intention, awareness, and sincerity. You must understand this clearly. Being present is not optional. It is the foundation of masculine energy. It is what separates a forgettable interaction from a moment that lingers in her mind long after you're gone. A man with an iron mind does not scatter his attention. He does not drift. He does not operate on autopilot. He chooses where he stands. He chooses where he focuses. And when he embraces a woman, he is fully there, steady, calm, grounded, aware. That is what she feels, and that is what creates emotional impact. Now think about modern life. Think about how distracted most people are, constantly pulled by notifications, pressure, responsibilities, noise, always somewhere else mentally, rarely anchored in the present moment. And this is exactly why the ghost hug has become so common, because men carry that same scattered energy into their interactions, into their relationships, into their physical touch, and they don't even realize it. But here's the consequence: when you are not present, she feels it immediately. She feels like an afterthought, like a task being checked off, like something routine instead of something meaningful, and attraction cannot grow in that space. Connection cannot deepen in that environment. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength, and this applies directly here, because the problem is not the hug. The problem is your lack of control over your attention, your inability to stay grounded in the moment. So, what must you do? Be deliberate, be aware, be still. Slow down your mind. Breathe naturally. Feel the moment. Let your body relax. Let your presence settle. And when you hug her, do it with intention, not hesitation. Do it with calm certainty, not rushed discomfort. Do it as a man who knows exactly where he is and why he is there. Don't look over her shoulder. Don't rush the exit. Don't treat it like a transaction, because the second you mentally leave, she feels abandoned even while you're still holding her, and that feeling lingers. Understand this deeply. The ghost hug is not about what you do, it's about what you fail to give, and what you fail to give is presence. And presence is everything. This is why Stoicism win is not just philosophy, it is practice. It is discipline in the smallest moments. It is training your mind to stay where your body is, to align thought, emotion, and action into one clear signal. And when you develop that, when you build that iron mind, something changes. Your energy becomes steady. Your actions become intentional. Your interactions become memorable. And women notice it instantly, not because you are trying harder, but because you are finally showing up fully. And here is the instruction you must follow. Stop rushing. Stop overthinking. Stop drifting. When you hug her, be there, fully, completely, undeniably present, because that is what communicates value, that is what creates attraction, that is what separates you from the distracted majority. Repeat this to yourself until it becomes instinct. Presence is power. Presence is respect. Presence is connection. Without it, nothing works. With it, everything changes. And when you master this, when you truly understand and apply this piece of old Stoic wisdom, you will realize that it was never about learning how to hug. It was about learning how to be present, how to control your mind, how to carry yourself with quiet certainty. And that is the kind of man who stands out, the kind of man who is remembered, the kind of man who does not need to chase attention because his presence alone commands it. That is Stoicism win. That is the iron mind in action. And that is the level you must reach if you want to move through life, through relationships, and through every interaction with clarity, strength, and purpose. Error number 4, the distracted hug. This is the kind of mistake most men don't even realize they're making, and that's exactly why it quietly ruins the moment. Your arms are around her, but your attention is somewhere else. Your eyes drift across the room. Your mind is racing through tasks, notifications, unfinished thoughts. Maybe you even glance at your phone. Don't do that. A hug is not just physical contact. It is a message. It is a signal. And when your focus is scattered, the message becomes painfully clear. I'm not fully here. That is what she feels, even if she never says it out loud. In female psychology, presence is everything. A woman doesn't just respond to what you do, she responds to how you show up while doing it. That is one of the most overlooked psychology tricks men fail to understand. You can say all the right words. You can make all the right moves. But if your attention is divided, she senses the disconnect immediately. Be present. Be intentional. Be there. A distracted hug feels mechanical. It feels like an obligation rather than a choice. And that subtle difference changes everything. Think about it. When you hug someone while your mind is elsewhere, your body becomes stiff, your timing becomes off, your energy becomes flat. There is no warmth, no depth, no emotional imprint. It's just a gesture, and an empty one at that. In the world of how to fall in love, these small moments matter more than grand gestures. Attraction is not built in big speeches. It is built in quiet seconds like this. Seconds where she asks herself, without even realizing it, does he actually feel me right now? And if the answer is no, something inside her pulls back. Not dramatically, not consciously, but enough to weaken the connection. You must understand this. Attention is a form of respect. When you give someone your full presence, you communicate value without saying a word. That is why the simplest psychology tricks are often the most powerful. When you hug her, pause. Let the moment land. Let your body settle. Let your breathing slow down. Don't rush in and rush out like you're checking a box. That is not how connection works. That is not how attraction grows. In female psychology, emotional awareness is deeply tied to presence. If you are not fully engaged, she interprets that as a lack of depth, a lack of awareness, a lack of intention. And once that impression forms, it is very hard to reverse. Don't multitask affection. Don't split your attention between her and the world around you. Be disciplined with your focus. A man who can be fully present, even for a few seconds, stands out more than you think. That is how to fall in love in a real, grounded way. Not through performance, but through presence. Not through intensity, but through clarity. When you hug her, let your attention rest on her. Feel the moment. Notice her energy. Match it. That is where real connection begins. And here's the truth most people miss. Distraction is not just about devices or wandering eyes. It's about internal noise. If your mind is cluttered, your presence disappears. So before you even step into that hug, center yourself. Take a breath. Let go of everything else. Because the quality of your attention defines the quality of the moment. That is one of the deepest psychology tricks you can master, not just in relationships, but in life. A hug should say, right now, nothing else matters. It should feel grounded, calm, and real. Not rushed. Not absent. Not half-hearted. You don't need to hold longer. You don't need to squeeze tighter. You just need to be there, completely. That is what creates emotional impact. That is what lingers in her mind after the moment ends. And that is how to fall in love in a way that feels natural, effortless, and genuine. So remember this. Don't be the man who is physically present but mentally gone. Don't let distractions steal the meaning from something so simple. Be the man who understands that even a hug carries weight, that even a few seconds can shape how she feels about you. Master your attention. Master your presence. Because in the subtle world of female psychology, the smallest details often speak the loudest. If this hit you, don't just nod, act on it. Presence is power, and most men lose it without even realizing. Be the man who is fully there, fully aware, fully felt. Like the video, subscribe for more real insight, and drop this in the comments to lock it in your mind. I give my full presence, nothing less. Error number 5, the hesitant hug. This is the hug that lives in the gray zone, the half step forward, the brief pause, the unsure arms that never fully arrive. It's the kind of moment where your body says, maybe, and your energy says, I'm not sure. And she feels that instantly. Don't underestimate this. A hug is not just physical contact, it's a message. It's a silent statement about who you are in that moment. And when that message is unclear, the connection fades before it even begins. Think about it. You move in, then hesitate. You pause as if asking permission without words. You wrap your arms lightly, then pull back too fast, as if you changed your mind mid-action. That is not presence. That is confusion. And confusion never builds attraction. It creates distance. It makes her question the moment. It makes her wonder, is he comfortable? Does he even want this? And the second that question appears, the emotional flow breaks. Don't do that. Don't move halfway. Don't act, then retreat. That is not how a high-value man carries himself. A high-value man decides. He reads the moment. He feels the energy. And when he moves with calm certainty. Not rushed. Not forced. Just clear. That is masculine energy, quiet, grounded, and unmistakable. Here's the truth most men miss. Hesitation is louder than words. You don't need to say, I'm unsure, for her to feel it. Your body says it for you. Your timing says it. Your lack of commitment says it. And she picks up on it faster than you think. Women are deeply attuned to emotional signals. Not what you say, but how you show up. So when your hug lacks clarity, she doesn't analyze it logically. She feels it emotionally. And what she feels is doubt. Be decisive. That doesn't mean be aggressive. It doesn't mean overpower the moment. It means be clear. If the moment calls for a hug, step in naturally. Make it smooth. Make it intentional. Wrap your arms with ease. Hold for just the right moment. Then release without rushing. That is confidence. That is control. That is how you attract women, through presence, not performance. A hesitant hug is like starting a sentence and never finishing it. It leaves the other person hanging. It creates tension where there should be comfort. And comfort is everything. When a woman feels comfortable around you, she opens up. When she feels uncertainty, she pulls back. That is the difference. Small detail, big impact. You must understand this. Confidence isn't about being bold or loud. It's about being settled within yourself. It's about trusting your instincts and acting without overthinking. When you hesitate, it often comes from being stuck in your head. Is this the right moment? Should I do it? What if? Stop that. Get out of your head. Be in the moment. Feel it. Then act. Because masculine energy is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about being grounded enough that your actions feel natural, not calculated. A high value man doesn't second guess every move. He doesn't freeze in the middle of connection. He flows. He adapts. He trusts himself. And here's something deeper. Hesitation doesn't just affect the hug. It affects how she sees you overall. One small moment becomes a signal about your confidence, your emotional awareness, your ability to lead the interaction. And whether you realize it or not, she's forming an impression. Not consciously, but emotionally. And emotions decide everything. So be clear, be calm, be intentional. Don't rush in, but don't hold back either. Find that balance where your actions match your energy, where your body says, I'm here and I mean it. That is powerful. That is attractive. That is what separates a man who hopes for connection from a man who naturally creates it. Remember this. When you hesitate, you break the moment. When you commit, you elevate it. Be the man who commits. Error number 6, the real masculine hug. The real masculine hug is not about force, not about speed, and not about impressing. It is about presence, control, and quiet certainty. And if you truly want to understand psychology tricks, female psychology, and how to fall in love in a way that feels natural instead of forced, then you must first understand this. A hug is communication without words. What you communicate in those few seconds will either build attraction or quietly destroy it. The real masculine hug is firm, intentional, and grounded. Not rushed, not uncertain, not asking for permission through hesitation, but calmly leading the moment with clarity. Because hesitation signals doubt, and doubt creates distance. So don't hover. Don't lean in halfway. Don't test the waters like a man unsure of his place. Instead, step in with purpose. Plant your feet firmly because your physical stability reflects your emotional stability. Whether you realize it or not, she feels that instantly. Her body reads it before her mind has time to analyze it. This is where most men fail. They focus on what to do with their arms, but forget that the foundation starts from the ground up. How you stand, how you breathe, how you carry yourself into that moment. Because attraction is not built in the hands, it is built in the energy you bring. One hand should rest between her shoulder blades, not wandering, not awkward, not too high, not too low, but placed with calm certainty. The other hand settles naturally at the middle of her back, creating a balanced, centered connection. This positioning matters more than you think because it communicates structure, awareness, and control, all key elements in female psychology when it comes to feeling safe and emotionally open. Then there is the contact itself, chest to chest. Not leaning away, not creating space as if you are afraid of closeness. Because distance inside a hug sends a louder message than words ever could. It says you are unsure. It says you are holding back. And that instantly weakens the emotional impact. So don't do that. Be present. Be there fully. Because one of the most overlooked psychology tricks is that attraction grows in moments of genuine presence, not in overthinking or performance. Now understand this clearly. Pressure matters. Constant pressure, not crushing, not overpowering, but steady, consistent, reassuring. Because inconsistency creates discomfort, and discomfort kills connection. So don't squeeze too hard trying to prove something. And don't go too soft trying not to offend. That middle ground, that calm, grounded pressure, that is where the magic happens. That is where she feels that you are in control of yourself. And a man who is in control of himself is naturally more attractive. This is not manipulation. This is alignment with how human connection works. This is how to fall in love in a way that feels effortless instead of forced. And then comes the most powerful and most ignored element of all, your breath. If your body is tense, if your breathing is shallow, if you are holding your breath without realizing it, she will feel that tension immediately. And tension creates resistance. But when you breathe slowly and naturally, your body relaxes. Your muscles soften without losing structure. And that calm transfers to her because emotions are contagious. Energy is contagious. And relaxation is one of the strongest signals of confidence you can send. So breathe, not dramatically, not exaggerated, just naturally, just present, just grounded. Timing is another detail that separates men who understand from men who guess. Too short feels dismissive, too long feels uncomfortable, and both break the connection. So don't rush it like you are trying to escape. And don't hold on like you're afraid to let go. The ideal window, about 2 to 4 seconds, is enough for her to register the experience, enough for her body to respond, enough for the moment to feel complete without becoming awkward. Precision is better. Control is better. Knowing when to begin and when to end is what creates that sense of mastery. And here is where the real difference shows: how you end the hug. Most men treat the ending like an afterthought. They just let go abruptly or step back too quickly, breaking the emotional flow. But don't do that. End it with the same awareness you started with. Release calmly. Maybe let your hands slide lightly down her arms as you create space, not in a way that lingers awkwardly, but in a way that feels smooth, intentional, complete. Then meet her eyes. Not staring intensely, not looking away nervously, just calm eye contact paired with a relaxed smile. Because that final second seals the entire interaction. It tells her, without words, that you are comfortable, that you are present, that you are in control of yourself and the moment. And that is what stays in her mind long after the hug is over. Understand this deeply, because this is where psychology tricks, female psychology, and how to fall in love all connect into one simple truth. Attraction is not created by doing more. It is created by doing things with clarity, with presence, with intention. Most men lose before they even begin because they act without awareness. They rush. They hesitate. They overthink. They try to impress instead of simply being grounded in themselves. But you must be different. Slow down. Feel the moment instead of rushing through it. Because when you are fully present, when your actions are aligned, when your body language speaks confidence without forcing it, that is when a simple hug becomes something more. Something memorable. Something that lingers in her mind without her even knowing why. And that is the real power. Not tricks for the sake of tricks, but understanding human connection at its core. Using psychology not to manipulate, but to express yourself clearly. Aligning with human nature so your actions feel natural. Creating moments that lead to connection, not by chasing, not by trying too hard, but through calm, grounded presence in a noisy world. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Don't rush. Don't hesitate. Don't overcomplicate. Be steady. Be intentional. Be present. Because in that quiet confidence, in that controlled simplicity, you create a connection that speaks louder than anything you could ever say. All right, my friend, let's wrap this up. A hug may seem like a small moment, but it speaks louder than words ever could. It quietly tells her who you are, your confidence, your awareness, your respect. She may not sit there and analyze it, but she will feel it, and that feeling stays with her. So here's the truth you need to carry with you. Don't treat a hug like a routine gesture. Be present. Be grounded. Respect her space. Let your actions show calm confidence, not hesitation, not force. That is what creates real attraction, subtle, natural, and undeniable. Starting today, you know something most men overlook. Use it, practice it, refine it, because the smallest details are often what separate the man who is remembered from the one who is forgotten. If this helped you see things differently, stick with me. There's more coming: real insights, real psychology, real results. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.